Hey guys. Um, so just forewarning you, this video is probably going to be a good part of this video. I'd say is probably going to be me rambling and maybe going through some mental gymnastics. So just bear with me. But as you've noticed, I have tentatively entitled this video, and I'm not even sure if I will upload this video because I know people have done videos on this topic several times on YouTube and probably a lot better than I have. But Doom did a live stream, his most recent video, and he brought this up, and then Jeff Ranella also commented in his comments below and brought this up too. And that is, as you can tell from the title, the subject of Laineybot, Lainey, Greg's Onision's wife, and her being a transgender. Now, I have said before that I do believe that Lainey is a transgender, and I think given, the fact that she's been so wishy-washy on the topic and of her being trans, because I know first she was I think non-binary and then agender. I don't agender non-binary. I think it's both mean like not conforming to any gender or whatever. But whatever, she was one or two of those things or both of them. And then eventually she basically said that she's not non-binary or agender anymore, and that she's actually trans, and she's like she hasn't changed her channel name, which I think she went into in one of her videos, but she has been going by, or at least she's given herself the name Kai and has given herself male pronouns. Now you'll notice that look, I'm not going to be addressing Lainey by Kai. I'm not going to be using male pronouns to address her until I see Lainey actually start to transition and actually make a real effort to transition. I will still call her her. I will still call Lainey Lainey because as of right now she is still fully female. But that's also what I want to talk about. Now, Calvin Guerra, who, if you don't know who he is, he's a female to male transgender on YouTube. He makes similar videos to like Blair White, like he makes a lot of anti SJW content. But he did a video kind of addressing this topic. It was a video titled "Exposing Onision's Blatant Transphobia." It was more, it was more about Onision and his things that he said that are transphobic more than about Lainey. But he did talk somewhat about Lainey as well. Um, and I have to admit, I was a little bit annoyed that he kept referring to Lainey as Kai and using like male pronouns and stuff. I feel like Calvin is being a little bit too lenient when it comes to Lainey. And look, Calvin kind of goes into how he was in a past relationship with an ex who was abusive. Well, yeah, abusive. I think is what he referred to as. Like his girlfriend at the time. She was supportive of him being trans, but she didn't support him going through transitions to try to alleviate his gender dysphoria. Um, which he talked about, and I feel like he kind of relates to Lainey's experience with Greg, because I do think even still that Lainey is in an abusive relationship with Greg. I think it's been that way from the very beginning. I mean, hello, we're talking about the same person that Greg got with while she was still in high school when she was still 17 years old. That's predatory, and that is an abusive relationship no matter how you frame it, no matter what context you want to put it in, no matter how much sugar you want to put on it. That is an abusive relationship. And so I still believe that Lainey is in an abusive relationship even now. But recently, in the past year or so, year and a half, I've come to question just how good of a person Lainey is herself. Because again, I get that she's in an abusive relationship. I can try to understand. Because I will admit, I've never really been in that situation, but I can try to understand it. I can try to, sympathize with it. Um, but so I get that a lot of the stuff that she does and says could be controlled, or a lot of it, because she's in a controlling relationship from Greg. But at a certain point, you have to kind of put the person themselves into accountability. Like, you have to stop making excuses for a person and, realize that they are their own person and that they are capable of making their own decisions and everything, and that and that's kind of how I've come to see Lainey in the past year and a half, or that's what I've kind of put her into. Because before that, I would kind of not really go after Lainey as much, or not try to think too bad of her because she's in a relationship with Greg. But I can't really do that a whole lot anymore, simply because of the wishy-washy positions she's taken on pretty much everything that Greg has done. Raiding underage girls, the whole situation with Billy, chaining Billy in the basement and stuff, and making her do all sorts of things to win back Lainey's love when really we know it was just Greg wanting to be controlling. Um, and just countless other things, because Lainey would always be like, well, I don't agree with him, I don't agree with everything that was done and everything, but I don't control Greg. Like, at a certain point, it's like, I feel like you have to take a stand. And again, I know this all goes back to the abusive relationship thing, but I feel like at a certain point you have to take a stand. And I don't feel like Lainey has really taken a stand, a real stand against Greg. Okay, even when he blatantly cheated on her with Billy, and that whole mess of a polyamorous relationship that went on like a few years ago. And I'm kind of getting off topic, but the point is, Lainey has been wishy-washy, like I said, on stuff like that, and I feel like she's been the same way as far as being transgender. Now, and again, with the whole Calvin thing, I get that he feels that she's in a similar situation to what he's in. So I get that he's trying to be kind to her and try to empathize with her situation, and that he's just trying to be supportive because he's trans himself. Um, but I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm still not completely sold on Lainey actually being transgender. I'm still leaning more towards her being a transtrender. Um, because I was solidly on the whole she's a transgender mindset before I watched Calvin's video. When I watched Calvin's video, I was more on the fence, but I've continued to think about it, and I'm still leaning more towards Lainey being a transgender. But apparently, she did make a video recently that Calvin included in his video, and I'll just go ahead and link Calvin's video below so you guys can check it out. But he did show a video that Lainey uploaded where she talked about how she has dysphoria, like with her chest and stuff, and with a few other things like her voice and stuff, and how she didn't want to go through transitions yet because she was still breastfeeding, I guess, one of her kids. Fine. But she said that it is something for sure that she wanted to do, that she did want to go through transitions, that it's something that she does want. And Calvin made an observation about possibly that Onision, Greg, is keeping her from transitioning because Greg, while he's seemingly supportive of Lainey, because I believe Greg has been calling Lainey Kai and referring to her as his husband and using male pronouns, he has also said in the past that he doesn't like, basically that he doesn't like transgender bodies or something like that. He likes it all natural. He likes natural breasts. He likes all this stuff. We kind of saw this when he was getting all creepy with Jacqueline Glenn about her boob job and stuff, as if it was any of his business. But that's a whole other thing. So we see that. We see that, and so Calvin made, I'd say, a logical conclusion that Greg might be keeping Lainey from transitioning, like actually going through transitions, because he wouldn't like that, or he doesn't want that, or whatever. And that would make sense. But again, I'm still not sold though. Like, so see, look, if that is the case, if Greg is the one manipulating Lainey, well, I mean, obviously he's manipulating her, but like, if he's the one that's keeping her from actually going through transitions because it's not what he wants, then okay, I can understand that. And if that actually, like, hypothetically, if that is like the actual case, then I would totally respect Lainey, and when she started going through transitioning, I would definitely refer to her as Kai and her male pronouns, whatever. because she's actually, going through with it and doing the transitions and stuff like that. And it would match up with her words on her one of her latest videos. But I don't know that that's the obvious case. And again, because Lainey has been very wishy-washy on the topic of being transgender and among other things, I'm still not sure that I can believe that she's actually transgender, and is the reason why I'm still leaning more towards her being a transgender more than anything. But again, Calvin's video kind of put me more on the fence, but at the same time, and let's not forget, Lainey. Well, like I said, while I do believe that she is still very much a victim of Greg, she has done some things herself, and it's different for me, like, because with like Greg's relationship with like Shiloh, for instance, Shiloh they were only together, they were on and off again for like what, a year and a half, so, well, like a year and change, I guess. Shiloh did some stuff herself, did some messed up things herself, but at the same time, Shiloh was still a teenager when she was with him. For the entirety of her relationship with him, she was still a teenager. She was 17, much like Lainey was when Greg got with her, and I'm guessing she would have turned 18, and then yeah, that was the span of the relationship. So she was still a teenager. She was still very much a very young person when she was with Greg. She was very much under the influence of Greg. So I can I can more easily excuse the things that Shiloh did. With Lainey, she's been with Greg for far longer. She's still with Greg, and she's now in her 20s. She is a grown adult. But she has still done some very weird things. The thing that's popping into my mind the most is the thing with Sarah. Having conversations with Sarah when she was 14, Lainey being like 21, 22 years old, and having full-on conversations with Sarah, who's 14 years old. Just I know Stevie talked about it in his most recent upload that he did on Onision, which has now been re-uploaded because Stevie understandably wanted to take it down, but that's a different topic. Just saying a bunch of weird things with Sarah, and I don't know. It comes off as weird to me because, I mean, what does a 21, 22-year-old really have, like, and what can they relate to with a 14-year-old? I mean, it just seems weird to me, and kind of serving as sort of a catfish for Greg's escapades. Basically serving as bait for younger girls for Greg. Lainey has done this. And again, the whole abusive relationship, I get that. But Lainey also has kids now. Like, she has 2 children. And I don't have children of my own. I'm not a father. But I would think that having kids would change you a little bit, would change something about you, would change you a little bit as a person. And I would think with Lainey having kids now, it would make her sort of realize, the type of situation that she's in and the type of person that she's married to. And that would make her want to, like I was saying earlier, actually take a real stand against Greg and maybe try to get away from him. Because she now has kids with this person. And if she actually is, because for all we know, she doesn't think he's bad at all, but if she actually knows that he's a bad person, you would think that for her kids' sake, she wouldn't want, her kids being raised by this person. But, I mean, as of right now, I guess that isn't the case. But again, I would think that, having kids would change something about you as a person, and would change her stance and make her mature a little bit more and realize what she's in, with the shit that she's in, because she is in deep shit. Like I've said, I know she's in a very bad relationship. This is kind of just me. I know I'm just repeating myself at this point, but again, because of all that, because of Lainey's shady actions, because of her kind of adopting Greg's behavior when it comes to that, I can't give her a lot of leeway on this. It's why I'm still on the fence, more leaning towards her being transgender more than anything. And again, I'm not using Kai, I'm not using male pronouns because, like I said earlier, and also not just with Lainey, but with anyone who just says that they're trans but doesn't really go through any transitions. I'm not going to censor my language and censor myself and call them by pronouns that I either don't think they've earned yet or that I just don't believe in, like not like they, them, or Z and Zer and whatever else, because I feel like that would be me appropriating something that I don't believe in already, and I think it would also be appropriating the struggles that real transgender people go through. Because I assume that being trans, I mean, because this isn't me saying that being trans makes this is not me saying that being trans makes you bad or makes you a bad person. I mean, I would imagine that being trans, having gender dysphoria, is not fun. It's not an easy thing to go through. So, but anyways, again, getting off topic. But that is my position basically on Lainey. I'm still leaning more towards her being a transgender. If you want to go check out Calvin's video, you can. I might even link Lainey's video, her most recent video, her addressing this. You can make up your own minds about this, but this is kind of where I stand as of now. So let me know what you think. And I guess that's pretty much it for this one. So I will talk to you guys later. Peace and have a good day.